Welcome everybody to our digital directions reception. We've been doing these now since July, and they've become extremely popular and very instructive for me. I'm Joanne Vaughn. I'm the executive director here at MFA. I'm here with Emil Potrincio, who is the volunteer show chair for the show, Marta Finkelstein, who is the juror, and Laura Carty, who is on staff here at MFA. We're really excited with the growth of this exhibition. It's really fun to see not just the quality of the work, which is extraordinary. If you are local, please get in to see this show. For one thing, it will make you very, very happy on a cold February. It's very bright and colorful and fun. But also with the different way that digital media is now being produced. And that's really inspiring to us to see the work that you all do and that you're willing to share with us. And for that, we say thank you. So I'm going to introduce Emil and let him talk about how he put the show together, and he will introduce Marta, our juror.
All right. Hello, and thanks for joining us tonight. Marta Finkelstein is an experimental artist working with clay, paint, sound, and moving image. She received her Bachelor of Fine Arts in Ceramics from Indiana University in 2012 and went on to pursue experimental animation at Virginia Commonwealth University, where she received her Master of Fine Arts degree in kinetic imaging in 2015. She's currently an adjunct professor at the VCU School of Arts, and she also helps manage the Silos Artists Collective. It's a studio for multidisciplinary artists in Richmond. Marta's award-winning work has been exhibited across the US and internationally, and you can see her work at martafinkelstein.com. Marta, I especially like your depictions of ripples that expand from a point of origin and interact with each other. That's something I've explored as an oceanographer and as an artist. So the Echoes in Motion video on your website is really fascinating.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. And thank you for supporting this exhibition. Anyone who visits it online or at the gallery will be impressed with the bright colors and the intriguing range of styles and media represented. So we look forward to hearing your thoughts on the show and the award-winning works.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was such a lovely introduction. I've just been privileged to see the kind of work that was first entered, whittling it down from almost 300 different pieces down to, I think 62 was the final number in the show. One of the things that drew me to the works that I landed on was the craftsmanship of the media that we will see in a moment. So one of the things that, I really see in a lot of digital art that is being it's the most easily accessible media now. We can create at the tip of our fingers whatever we want to do. So in a sense, we could all be digital artists if we want to, but one of the things that I really wanted to focus on is making sure that pieces in the show exhibited a level of an extra level of talent and understanding of the medium and respect for the medium. So yeah.
We want to go with the artist statement, Laura?
It's kind of up to me to sort of talk through each piece and elucidate some of the reasons I picked things as well. Okay. All right. So this is the sort of statement that I've created for the show after I saw the works. So since the dawn of the digital age, artists have been rapidly adapting their practice to new technologies. We have access to supercomputers and high-definition cameras that can fit in our pockets, which makes it an exciting time to be a creator. In selecting the works for Digital Directions 2020 or 2021, I included artists that exhibit a mastery of the digital space. While anyone can snap a selfie and slap on a fun filter, these works are excellent examples of digital fine art. There are some extremely innovative works that manipulate our perceptions of reality with the use of digital painting and glitch work, as well as works that comment on the very nature of technology itself. So it was kind of interesting to see such a broad range of content in the work with using all the same sort of tools, but just the range of styles, the range of aesthetics within the show, I think, is pretty varied and versatile. So yeah.
Let's go to our first honorable mention.
Okay. So Alan Hirsch, Rosewater Morning. So this piece really impressed me in the way that, especially just the media that is described, right? So mathematically transformed image on premium photo paper. So looking at, it's easy to take an image and just let it be reality. But this piece really spoke to me in a way that once you let the media go through a process of transformation, it can be something that is completely new. Not to mention the beautiful colors, the composition itself is quite lovely. I saw there was a chat question. I can't quite see, maybe I can see it. Okay, here, actually, yes, I can see it. So did you consider digital photography as a suitable to include as an equally aspect of digital directions? So yes, absolutely. In terms of digital photography, there were a few pieces that, as we'll see in a moment, that just the nature of taking an image, capturing an image, that's can be easy to do, but at the same time, where do you point your camera? How is the image composed? There are specific digital photographs that are in the show that have a really lovely way of compositing different images together to make something completely new. Sort of on the note of this piece here, Rosewater Morning.
Okay. Alan, I know you're on the call, do you want to say anything briefly about the piece? Alan was just our latest participant in a Will Talk, which, as you know, is a talk with Dr. Wilfred Scott, who's an art historian, about his method earlier this week, and we will be posting that video on YouTube. But Alan, if you want to unmute and talk to the piece, that would be great.
Yeah, my mother, before she passed away, when she could no longer do much outside of her apartment, she was a very skilled landscaper, but she put together dozens and dozens and dozens of really attractive silk flower arrangements. She'd go out to flea markets in Florida and buy cheap but attractive ceramic, and then she had a whole apartment full of silk flowers. And so the last time I visited her down there, I made digital photographs of all of them on her credenza sitting against the wall there. And then they've been a major source for me for still lifes. So this is one of many, many transformations of this particular silk flower arrangement. And this one, of course, I actually compressed the colors so there would be pretty much all around reds and blues. And then there were several in the equations. I tended to use a lot of let the color manipulate the space, which is why you get that kind of richly textured change in the vase, so that it looks almost as if it's made out of cloth. And like you, I submitted this because I really love the light in it and the liveliness of it.
Excellent, thank you.
And for those who
really
might not have picked up on it, Alan programs his own equations and into the software that he uses to manipulate the photos.
See, that's what I'm all about, right? Like having a level of understanding and experimentation with technology is really what drew me to this piece specifically. I think there is a mastery here in hearing, the way that you took an image and didn't just, it sounded like you didn't just edit it once, you sort of did it maybe a few times and landed on a specific equation that created the outcome that you wanted. So do you mind if I ask what software do you use? And how do you sort of go by changing equations as you go?
The software is all my own. I don't use commercial software except to print. Even when I blow this up, I use software I've patented myself, so I can make very large pieces.
Wow.
So everything is just my own. I created a whole new way of using mathematics. If you're interested, I guess I can send you some essays in which I describe for a lay audience how the math is used. Probably the easiest way to say it is that pixel by pixel, I take information about each pixel and let the mathematics rearrange the pixel to somewhere else in the photograph. And,
Wow.
and because mathematics is intrinsically organized, that frequently produces very, aesthetically compelling effects. It's not random, but it's complex. And I manipulate colors the same way. The color filters I use are all ones I've created myself, which use local color around each pixel to transform a pixel, which is not the way Photoshop or Corel does it. They have a very different approach. They're trying to mimic hand painting. I was trying to create something new.
Excellent. And that you did. I am thoroughly impressed by knowing that you created not only the image, but the software that created the image as well. That's exciting.
And the next award?
Yes. All right. So Nancy Keene Fishel, did I say that right? I hope. Memories of Distant Destinations. So this piece really, I was immediately drawn to Nancy's work. There's another piece in the show as well. I myself have had the experience of doing a panorama with my phone, being able to take this high definition with this tiny piece of, of tech. And the effect of if you're, panning across a moving image and something that is changing and being able to just take slices of that change and recognizing that as a method of making an image and taking it, not only just doing that as a capturing device, but then translating that with your hand. That's really what drew me to this piece is the sort of I wouldn't say novelty of the sort of glitched panorama, but then taking it to the next level. I've seen quite a few pieces of photography that do use these tools and use that as the cornerstone of the method, but this specifically really blew my mind and seeing, there's really lovely portions in here, seeing the little bits and pieces of a shoe or the, the echoes of this woman's jacket as she's moving. And it, it almost becomes like it reminds me of Kandinsky a bit, there's foundation in formal aesthetics that are being described here. So I really was drawn to this piece. So yeah.
Nancy, do you want to speak to the piece?
Absolutely. First, I appreciate what you have picked out of the piece. The way I work is I do use the panoramic. This was from a phone panorama. The other piece in the show was from a camera. And I
Oh.
find that they do them differently because the phone has much smaller slices of the movement. And my work is all about movement. My prints, my painting, all of my work is about movement. In this, it is a multiplicity of photographs that I interpreted. So what I do is I happen to be sitting in an airport, the last trip I could take before we all closed down, hence the title. And I take a number of photographs. It probably had about 4 different photographs in it. And I layer them and then I draw on top of them, picking out the pieces that I want to be able to keep and emphasizing the colors and the structures I want to keep and getting rid of the rest of the information that I feel is extraneous.
Yes. Someone asked, what does glitch mean in this context? Yeah, a glitch, when you think about glitch, it's sort of like the initial read of that word is almost like it's a mistake, right? Like, oh, something is wrong here. But in this case, you're taking the aberrations or things that went wrong and making it the focus and making it about creating form and texture with that method. And I really love this. And not to mention, the level of composing your drawing as well. Like, I really love the background texture that you have. It almost looks like you've taken an image of just the ground and put it in a totally new context. You've created this sort of faux space. I really, really love this piece.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I think that glitches, I discovered that by mistake. When, I travel a lot, at least I used to, and I take panoramas, and then all of a sudden I said, wait a second, these people have parts of them in there. So what I do now is I purposely do that. I look for ways to make that work, to catch those people in motion and to catch those pieces of them, because I think that nothing stays consistent in the world. Things change all the time. And the fact that we look at things at different ways and at different times, and it's never the same, is important in what I'm doing.
So true. So true. Thank you, Nancy.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Excellent work. Keep doing it. Keep making.
Laura, the next word.
Yes. So we have L. Naiman, Yoko K. Sen, Strathmore Monuments. So this is an archival digital photo print. So I'm very curious, when I look at this image, I'm very curious about how it was made. It almost looks like it's a projection onto foliage outside, but at the same time, it could be a composite image. And I personally resonate with works of art that bridge the disconnect between nature and humanity. And this piece really spoke to me in that way of being, this, if you look at this image, it's like being one with nature and being reflected within nature. And I really loved that sentiment and that effect as well. However it was made, I was just very intrigued with the piece itself. Yeah. Is Al here?
I am here.
All right.
I just turned on the video. I don't know if you can see me or not. Can you?
Oh, there you are. Hi. Yes.
Hi. So, I'd like to say I'm very happy and honored to be part of this group amongst all these great artists, to be part of this and to be recognized this way. But I'm also, the subject itself is something that I'm very happy to talk about and very proud to talk about. This is from an exhibit of monuments at Strathmore. if you all know Strathmore, the institution in North Bethesda,
Mhm.
that is primarily a music venue, but they've been moving toward more and more art demonstrations and museum shows. And this was one that where they took they hired an artist from Australia, Craig Walsh, who is known internationally for his projections.
Mhm.
And the projection in this case was a video projection, and there were 7 artists who were selected, who are part of the Strathmore community.
Mhm.
This is Yoko K. Sen, who is a sound alchemist, and her artwork is displayed inside of hospitals and other institutions where people are confined or under rehabilitation or otherwise recovering. And the idea is that her music is instrumental in their recovery. So what was so challenging about this photographically, I spent 4 nights out there doing this, is that first of all, you're right. Obviously, this is on a tree. This projection is on a tree, and the tree at the beginning of October was in full foliage.
Mhm.
By the end of October, it had lost half of its foliage, and this is somewhere toward that end. So these images changed every day,
Mhm.
and from moment to moment they changed because, of course, these are video projections, and also this is done at night. So this image is been augmented digitally, of course, because it's an 8-second projection or 8-second exposure, because even, it's just that it's night.
Right.
And what I particularly liked about this image is that you can see the sky actually is part of Yoko's face here,
Mhm.
where the leaves are so sparse that what you see behind is and somehow it still works.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely. That's really one of the things that drew me to this is the, positive and negative space here and the way that the projection is sort of, and see in the moment of, selecting this piece, I wasn't exactly sure how it was made, but I had a feeling it was a projection. And the way that it was lined up in terms of the way that the face is sort of being hugged by the edge of the tree, but then also on the sort of top corner of it, the sort of other half of the face is being accentuated. The highlights that would be there is just the sky behind. I really love that effect, and not only that, but just the sort of depth that is being that we can sort of see with the shadows within the different layers of branch and leaf. So excellent, really, really lovely work here.
Thank you very
Yeah, and night photography is hard. So excellent work.
Okay, let's get the next honorable mention.
All right. So Jim Pearson, Anonymous Landscape Impending. I was very drawn to Jim's work, just essentially because there is so much like head nod to abstraction and formalism and experimentation here, and the way that this image is put together in its beautiful chaos. It just creates this space that is both deep but also is sort of up in our face. I really love how it's sort of almost like a still life. There are moments of it that remind me of looking at, a composition of life and trying to capture it. But then it's almost like all of the still lives that I've ever drawn myself have been concatenated into one singular image. And I just love the playfulness in Jim's work. So that's where I'm at. Is Jim here to speak on this piece at all? Or Okay. But that's sort of where I sort of was really taken by the work here, and also seeing video of this piece sort of in the gallery. And there are two pieces by Jim in this show as well. And just, you know, it looks, feels, you know, just the fact that hand drawn with a mouse, I know from experience, drawing with a mouse is a tenuous action, and I really loved the amount of attention here, right? And it brings my attention in, and that's really what art is. Good art is about. So yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next, our final honorable mention award.
Okay. So Michelle Evola Wagner, Spring. So this computer painting on printed silk cotton. I love Michelle's work. I saw quite a few different pieces, and I'm very sad I had to pick only two, because there's just a level of mastery here that, you know, I could see that Michelle probably has quite a history of painting, probably with oils, and then being able to translate that into a digital space and use those skills in a way. And not only that, but translate it onto a material that is usually very specifically traditionally used. So I personally resonate with works that really bridge traditional and new media in new ways, and this piece definitely was that. So really love this piece, and like seeing the video of it in the gallery, it is quite a presence there. It's a large scale piece, and absolutely loved it. Is Michelle here?
Yes,
Oh,
I'm here.
hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Thank you, Martha.
Yeah. Lovely work. So do you want to talk about, you know, your process here, or how do you
Sure.
compose these beautiful large pieces?
So these are flowers that go together in a botanical garden calendar. And the garden
Oh.
calendar was from the early, I guess, the 1700s. And I set out to make a garden calendar with the flowers in my garden, month by month, starting from the crocus in January through the poinsettia in December. And yes, you're right, Martha. I am an oil painter. You caught me. I am an oil painter. I've always had a studio in New York City. I moved back to Long Island after it just got too crazy being in New York City, and the rents just went berserk. So my focus has been transferred to the garden, and month by month, I take photographs throughout the year. And these are my photographs imported into Adobe Illustrator, and this is vector art.
Oh,
So
excellent.
I was inspired by David Hockney when I saw his show in Chelsea. Of all digital work, I pretty much threw my paintbrushes away. It was like, oh, he's giving me permission.
Right.
And it's, I have a house, don't get me wrong, I have a house full of paintings, but these are so much easier. I don't have to fill my house with canvases that don't go anywhere. And these are printed on silk and cotton, so they fit under my bed. You know, it's like and they take a small envelope to mail. And this is my solution to being an artist in this day and age. So they're painted in Adobe Illustrator. These are vector. So that means I can blow it up. And with Hirsch's help, I can blow these up any size. I want to know more about his formula. Maybe he'll help me with that. And so they're printed on silk. And the other illustration that's in the show is a camellia. And I guess I was influenced by a woman in my neighborhood in California. I grew up in California. She had a huge collection of camellia plants, and she even made her own camellias. So she has plants under her name, Edith Mazet. She was a chameleon queen, and she had many, many camellias. And I took photographs of her work before she passed, and that's another reason for these images to come to life.
Gorgeous, absolutely beautiful work, and I have to be right there with you. You know, digital art, it makes working at home a lot easier than having a lot of toxic, potentially, turpentine and all that. So, but I really love your work, and keep making, because these are beautiful.
Thank you.
Excellent work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's move on to our Juror Choice Awards.
All right. So this first one is by Donna Massey, homage to NAD. So this is a multi-dimensional mixed media piece. And if you go to the gallery, I specifically really love the way that this piece is set up. It's basically there's the sculpture here, and then there is a digital video that is in front of it that essentially outlines, it's almost like a time lapse of the piece, how it progressed from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions. And you heard from my background, I have a bachelor's degree in ceramics, and my master's is in new media. So my background and my sort of draw and appreciation for new tech that is then brought into a 3-dimensional space, it's very rare to see. And it's also even rarer to see it done well. And I think this piece is an absolute delight in the way that space and medium and media is really explored. Not only to mention, what a beautiful image to begin with, beautiful colors, and just all around just craftsmanship and talent here of all aspects of art making. So excellent work, Donna. So is Donna here?
I'm right here. Thank you.
Hi,
Hello,
Donna.
everyone. Good evening. This is quite an honor. And being sequestered like we have, and being isolated from my colleagues and people that I enjoy interacting with, this has just opened my heart, and thank you.
Yeah.
I've always been dissatisfied with work that I created on paper, and one day in the studio, someone started using an iPad. I went wild when I discovered you could watch the creation of your drawing and it became animated. Mm-hmm. And as I literally stopped using my oils and acrylics and watercolors and had this tiny little pad, I realized there was magic when you saw the image on the iPad. But when you printed it out, it lost that energy, it lost that dynamic tension. Mm. So, and I've always played with shadow, whether I was painting or cutting things out. And I realized if I printed the image on film, it would create an incredible shadow onto itself. And then I decided, why not make it more powerful and use acrylics to create the outside image and add color when needed. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about accidents. I don't believe anything is an accident. It's
a discovery, right?
That enables you to go to another level.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to once again thank everybody. It's sort of sparked my energies again, because the only thing I've seemed to be able to do is enter shows during this almost year of being blocked from work.
Yes.
So I thank you.
Yes. I'd love to hear your process and sort of thinking behind this piece. Just knowing that you think about shadow, and especially what drew me to this sculpture particularly was the figure was completely clear and translucent. And that still had such a presence by the way that the outline of it is sort of, hits, light hits it. And so creates a new line with the highlights on one end and then complete shadow on the other end, even if, the piece of material is completely see-through, right? And just absolutely love this process too. Great work. And I'm so happy to see it. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yes. All right. So
The next Juror's Choice.
So Jane Bentley Gaskins, All I Need. So this is mixed media fiber and digital art. So this piece goes, what is a great example of what I was speaking to earlier about the way that digital media and traditional media, what are the ways that we can explore that relationship, how do you make something digital physical, and this piece is just so incredible. And I just felt like the minute I saw it, as an image, as I was looking through sort of the hundreds of pieces that were submitted for this show, this, as a thumbnail really even stuck out to me as an image, period. And then I looked, and this is fiber, and this just blew my mind. So just being able to see embroidered work, seeing textures, and I'm looking at this image and seeing there's foreground, middle ground, background. There's every grayscale here, highlights really deep darks in the corner, and is a reflection of the times. Here we see a man on his phone with his companion sort of out into the world. And it just felt like I was looking at a real contemporary image, and a contemporary work of art that looks at the world and translate it into something beautiful that we can all enjoy. So yeah, that's sort of the way I really was drawn to this piece. Is Jane here?
Yes, I am.
Hi.
Hi there. Thank you so much. This is indeed an honor, and thank you so much for all of your kind words about my art.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I see digital art as really more as a means to an end than an end in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been experimenting, combining it with fiber art for several years now. In fact, I even coined a term, fiberography, for what I'm doing, which is a combination of fiber and photography. And what I love about this is that I use it sort of as a collage. And I originally shot this the photo of the man with the dog in a park, and he just seemed so completely absorbed. There was all kinds of things going on around him, and the only thing he needed was his cell phone and his dog.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, it didn't matter how crazy everything else was. That's all he really needed.
Mm-hmm.
Problem was, I got back and I didn't have a model release. So I just shot my son's head and put it in there. And
yes.
took care of that problem. And then I didn't like the background. And so that's just from something I shot some time ago. It's the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and I'm not sure exactly where. But the nice thing is that you can get texture. And doing a straight on shot of this, you really can't see, but he is actually thread painted. which I really wanted to pull out a lot of the darks and lights, because when you print on fiber, it goes very, very soft.
Mm-hmm.
You lose a lot of resolution.
Yes.
So go back into that and try to pull out details. And that's basically I'm drawing on a sewing machine and combining different colors, because there's no way anybody can make enough colors of thread any more than they could make colors of paint. And you would put colors of paint together. You could mix those to get the greens or whatever you want. Well, here, I use sort of the theory of pointillism. Mm-hmm. So if you put two colors together, three colors of thread together, your eye blends it. So that's how he is made, and then stuffed from behind to give him texture. And what I like is that you can go into it and you can see the stitching behind the buildings, and even sort of the wumpy building there a little bit, that everything can be going crazy. And to give it sort of an emotional feel. Yeah. So that you can put in things that really weren't there originally.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I didn't quite talk about too much, but really this is an emotional piece, and you did hit it. I think looking at this image, I felt something deeper than just like, oh, that's pretty, which is very important, I think, in creating something that does, draw someone in, make them reflect on their own life and their experience and wonder. There's a word that I learned once but forgot it, but that sort of wonder about strangers. What are they thinking? Who are they? Right? And I look at this and I feel that very deeply. And just creating a really dynamic composition in this sort of stormy scene, being absolutely, into this tiny little, piece of what's on the phone, what is he reading, and wondering about what his life might be, and creating that sense of wonder, and just in not only in the content but also the craft here. And I look at this and I'm in wonder. So Jane, excellent work.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And the next year's choice?
Yes. So Paul John Gallo. This is CRISPR. Immediately, the minute I saw this piece, I was like, this is going to be in the show, and this is definitely going to get an award. Just the idea of the content itself. So seeing Frankenstein, the advent of genetic manipulation as a tool for, it's the new frontier, essentially, and commenting on using technology, and specifically this is digital directions, right? So using digital media as an investigation of the ethics of technology is really important to me. And this really resonated with me, and I just saw this, and it's just so smart seeing that the makeup of Frankenstein is created with genetic code. Just smart all around. Really, the minute I saw it, I smiled. And also seeing it, in a video. I'm so sad I wasn't able to physically be in the gallery tonight. Dang weather. But seeing it represented in the space with other works, it does still just tower in its presence. It's really, really such a smart, beautiful piece that comments on the medium that's it's being created with, and then technology as a whole. So, and it looks like Paul is here. Hello, Paul.
How you doing?
Great work, Paul. I'm doing all right. Yeah.
Right.
Would you like to? Yeah.
I think you summed up the overall content of the piece. I mean, the only thing I would add would be that when I was thinking about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, how it would be biological, changing the human being in a biological process. But now we're to the point now where it's DNA, and DNA, of course, could be changed in many ways for good and for evil. And so basically, like you said, I think it was just a comment on that process. It's actually rather simple compared to many of the other pieces I see tonight. I'm really impressed by the quality of the work.
Yeah. Well, I'm also impressed by the quality of yours as well. Seriously, I really, really resonate with works that are crafted well and then also create thought and question the world around you, and just absolute excellence here, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you.
Keep at it. This is awesome.
All right, will do.
Great. And the next Choice Award?
Okay, so Joanna Rose, we've got Imogene Tillman. Joanna Rose, Imogene Tillman. November Sunset is the piece, and Shelter in Place number 4, subcontext. So digital composite photography. So this is one of the images that, quite a bulk of the work that was submitted to the show was quite a bit of digital photography. And it did fall, a lot of the other work did fall in the realm of, point and shoot. But this piece really, really was a step up from just, let's just set up something real quick and take an image, bada bing, I'm done. There's a level of craft and just mastery of photography here. The lighting, the way that the image was composited so that we really clearly see this sort of beautiful sunset in the city. Just excellent compositing, excellent composition, and beautiful sort of. I look at this image and I feel like I want to reflect. I see the expression of the main subject in this piece, and the same sort of thing I was talking about earlier is this wonder about who might this be, what are they thinking about, and I'm absolutely drawn into this image, and have that sense of wonder. So is Joanna here this evening?
I am here, yeah, thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Marta. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really, it's lovely to be included in the show with all this inspiring art. So this piece, I actually made it in my apartment, and I've spent many hours over the past year just sitting in this window, staring out, and kind of being inspired by the beauty of this view, but also feeling very trapped with the pandemic outside. So this piece, I just wanted to speak to the tension of trying to appreciate the beauty of a place that you're literally stuck in all of the time. And it is a composite. I knew what I wanted the sky to look like, so I just kind of waited for a day when I had a nice sunset, took that photo, and then had my model come in another day, and I set up some colored gels to kind of bring the mood of the sunset inside, and then composited the sunset photo with the main picture in Photoshop. But yeah, I've been like really interested in just intentionality and placing everything, and doing really detail-y, obsessive work lately. So this kind of fulfilled that desire for me.
Yeah. Well, I think also hearing you speak about the isolation that is sort of at the forefront about the content of this piece, that's really another part of what drew me to this work as well, as sort of almost feeling like we're in this fishbowl, and trying to pretend like we're okay, we're all good here, trying to be at peace with our fishbowl that we're all in right now. And I think you've created this image that has and you said the word tension, and that's exactly what is here, is trying to find that peace, but also fighting this sort of need to be out in the world as well. So I think this is one of those pieces that speak to like everything right now. And I tried to pick works for this show that, you know, not only use technology in an interesting way, used craft, but also was a reflection of the times. And this piece was absolutely that. So seriously, excellent work. I'm very glad you're very particular. I can see how much consideration is put into this image before it was taken. And as it was composited, your craft absolutely shows through. And I saw quite a few of your other images as well, and I'm sad I couldn't pick more. So excellent, excellent work all around, Joanna.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, and our last Jury's Choice Award
goes to Andrew Wall. So this is Abstract 2, Purple Vase. So this is enhanced, digitally enhanced photograph printed on archival photo paper and face mounted to acrylic. So this piece on a thumbnail, you know, I immediately looked at this image and, you know, oh, this is sort of a digital Rothko, you know, consideration of how color can just be the focus and texture. And, you know, in terms of the way I thought about this piece, it fit into the show. Then I saw the video of it in the space, and it just has so much more presence than I had anticipated. You know, this was probably going to be an honorable mention in the way that I was thinking about things before I saw the representation of the show as a whole and things physically mounted. And once I saw this piece on a wall, it was totally different. And this is one of the pieces that, in a very specific case of why you should go see the show physically, if you can, because this piece is very different in person, and represented and mounted than just looking at it on a screen. Very, very different experience. So this piece really just is, you know, I usually resonate with a lot of representational art, things with figures. You know, we all like to see ourselves in reflected sometimes, but I do absolutely love a good abstract piece that is well rendered. Just the way that color, I just feel like I want to dive into this piece. I want to live there. This is sort of in the realm of like James Turrell meets Rothko. I really, really love this piece. So is Andrew here by any chance?
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
Hi.
Thank you. Hi, Marta.
Yes.
I don't know if you can see me. I don't know where I am. Well, first, I'm always excited when I get into a show, but to be recognized is extra special. Thank you. And I had something I wanted to say, but I love what you said about the piece. In fact, it's been installed.
Sorry.
Why did you?
Sorry, we're just having a
Why
thing.
would you?
Technology, right?
Yeah. So it's installed in a building at a much larger scale, like 8 feet tall.
Oh.
And it's really, yeah. And also I want to say, if you zoom into the piece, it's almost like fractal geometry, if you know. It goes on forever. The same pattern just keeps repeating the deeper you go into it. But just to tell you about it, it's just I was experimenting with still life photography. And like I said, this is a pink vase. I think there are other vases around it. And then I started experimenting with Photoshop distortion filters, like wave and polar coordinates, all these different. And to be honest, the Photoshop does the work that it sounds like Alan Hirsch, who talked earlier, creates his own software. So I work as a mechanical engineer, and I understand amplitude and frequency when it comes to waves. And Marta, it sounded like you do something. It's sort of like dropping many pebbles into a pond, and all the waves interfere, and you come up with a pattern. So that if you look closely, this is an intersection of probably hundreds of thousands of waves of different frequency and amplitude. But anyway, I'm really thank you for your nice words about my work. I really appreciate that.
I'm actually very, very glad you're here to sort of expand even more on it. Seeing it on a screen, I don't get the full effect, and hearing you speak about it makes me even more and more like, I'm so glad I picked this piece, because I love the ability to be drawn into work and find new things, even if it on the very surface level looks very simple, in terms of looking at an image and like, I feel at peace when I look at this, but then still being able to find new things. I love the texture. I love the fact that there is so much to see here.
And that's, I agree that I did a number of pieces with this wave filter. And like I said, you could just swim deeper and deeper into it. The more you zoom, the more patterns you see. It's really, it's just a very cool effect. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, though. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes.
Sure.
And I think we saw there was a quick question in the chat of what kind of adhesive do you use for mounting?
Well, I have a company. It's called Fine Art. I mean, I don't have the company. I use the company Fine Art America, and I'm really not sure of the process. I know they printed on some sort of archival paper, and then put acrylic over the top of it. But yeah, I'm really not sure how they adhere it without smearing or blocking the image. So.
It's Fine Art America.
But it's a common called face mounted acrylic. It's good for this kind of work where it's contemporary and kind of digital, and it's not a traditional matte and frame or something like that. So I thought it worked best with this kind of piece.
Yeah, seeing it in the gallery, absolutely. That sort of like without being super duper framed. Just letting the sort of acrylic just be the glossy, beautiful way of letting us be drawn into that without sort of any sort of extraneous thing there. Yeah.
Right. It seems to add even more depth or dimension to it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you, Marta. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Excellent work.
Well, Marta, this has been wonderful. I try to keep this to an hour. I'm always so inspired by how much time and effort and in this case, energy that our jurors put into selecting the exhibitions. I know it's not easy, and we certainly appreciate very much your time and especially your expertise in selecting the show. Like I said, I really do encourage people to come see this. It's just an extraordinary exhibition.
Yeah, Joanne, if I may give a quick shout out to the installation team too. David Diaz and Sharon Arsenault, and then Kate Stillwell and Chris Fowler and David Newworth helped hang things. But the two, just as an example, the lavender from Joanne Tillman's November Sunset complements some of the colors in Donna Massey's sculpture. They're located near each other, they complement each other, and that's true throughout the show. So that it's just a really wonderful exhibit.
Well, and I want to thank you, Emil. MFA is a pretty robust visual arts organization, but we're very small. Actually, we have a very small budget. We only have 3 full-time people, and we've just worked our way up to that. We've been at 2 full-time people for decades. And we're extremely reliant on volunteers. And Emil is a volunteer who oversaw every aspect of the show, from selecting the juror to literally unpacking the work, and he will pack it all back up and fill the nail holes. Our installers, Sharon and David, are volunteers. And so we're just extremely appreciative for the time and effort that it takes to mount a show like this. And Emma's been absolutely a dream to work with. I also want to thank all of the artists for sharing your work with us. I loved it when Andrew said that this piece is 8 feet, tall and in a building somewhere. There's lots of pieces in this show that I can see being very large in installations. And I'm sure that many of you work with that. We do, we did have an exhibition last year where we showed work to professional developers, and we hope to be having that again this year. So keep your eyes open for that. Emil or Marta, I don't know if you have anything else you want to say in conclusion.
Just really neat to see the way artists and installation team and juror can really create its own work of art. Is the exhibition. It's really interesting to see that. That's one of the rewards of being a chair for a show.
Yeah, and I just also want to thank everyone, the artists for continuing to make art during this crazy time that we're all going through. The team, just as a juror, the experience with everyone at MFA and the Circle Gallery, just absolute smoothness. Never a hitch. They know what they're doing. So keep supporting MFA and the Circle Gallery, because that's what the community is here for, is to support each other. And it was such a pleasure for me to be able to see the works that are being made and be able to share my humble opinion on these works. And it was just such a pleasure from beginning to right now. And I hope to, and so the show is up until March 6th. I'm hoping to make it up to the gallery physically when it's not snowing. So yeah, I that's my 2 cents, and thank you all for having me being a part of this. I'm very, very happy and just flabbergasted by the work that's being created right now. Excellent all around.
Well, thanks so much, Marta. That was absolutely lovely. Thank you all, and good night.